Okay, so here we are. I can't believe it. I've had a few people on my podcast before, but never my mother, the lady who got me here to begin with. So today we have her here on board with us. My mom is 92 and a half years old, and she is not feeble. She may be kind of crazy as a pet coon, but she's been that way since I was born, so everything is still status quo. So we call her Graham at home. Today I may call you Graham or Mom, whatever it's going to be, but I just want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you.
Hey. It's so funny to have you on because you and technology don't mix.
No, we don't.
a little like oil and vinegar, oil and water. Uh-huh. But anyway, so listen, there's a lot for us to discuss.
Yeah.
And I thought we'd have a good laugh at this because I'm thinking of, you're almost 93 and it's been a long haul and you've got much more time left. So when the end does come for all of us, it's nice to leave a little message behind, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so this is our kind of message. So I wanted to ask you, when were you born? I know our audience is going to go, what?
July 10th, 1928.
1928. That makes you 92 and a half. That's a long time. Tell me where you were born.
I was born in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Cambridge,
Mass. To who? Mom and Dad.
To Samuel and Pauline Norberg.
Right. So your grandfather, your father was from Sweden.
Yes.
He was from Sweden. Actually, he didn't.
No, he was born in America. His mother came over he had Carl, Eva, Agnes, and Eddie as his family.
Those were
They
siblings?
were all born in Sweden.
Right.
And when Grandma came over, she was pregnant with him 3 months. And then he was born here in the United States. So we never knew his father.
And your mother was born here?
My mother was born here, yeah.
Now, your mother, we always called her Nana. Nana's awesome.
Yeah.
She was awesome, wasn't she?
She was, absolutely.
She was like the matriarch of 70-plus grandchildren.
Everybody loved her.
Yeah. She could laugh. She could party.
Yeah.
She could play cards, dance,
she waltzed,
sing.
Yeah.
She never wore a pair of pants a day in her life.
Never.
Yeah.
No. We tried to get her in them, but she's no way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a hot ticket.
Yeah.
So you were born in, I know this is kind of a weird thing. I don't think I've ever asked you this. Were you born in a hospital or you were born at home?
Hospital.
What hospital?
I don't know, somewhere in Cambridge.
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
In Cambridge, that's all I know. Yeah.
And so you were born in Cambridge in 28, and you have a twin.
Yes, Barbara.
Yeah.
Barbara
Jean,
and I'm Betty Ann. And we didn't know that until years later.
That's right. Well, I went to get my Italian citizenship, and we found out when we went to the Vital Records Department that your name is not Betty Jean, which everybody's called you your whole life.
Yeah.
It's Betty Ann. Yeah. And back then they didn't seem to care, did they?
No.
Just get it done.
It's done.
Just get it done, sign it, and away we go.
Because I called Social Security on that, and they said, forget about it.
Leave it alone.
Yeah.
At this stage, forget about it.
Yeah.
It's not like you're getting rich off the number.
Right.
That's for sure. So I think back in 28, that was like forever ago.
Yeah.
And there's not many people left
No.
from the 20s.
Yeah.
But you still have friends left. You want to say hi to anybody?
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Rosie and Sally and Ellen.
And
Jackie and Polly. All my dear friends.
Dear friends. This reminds me of us being in Italy. Remember we took a trip to Italy together?
Oh my goodness, yes.
We were outside the Borghese Gallery looking at all of the sculpture. And we were sitting outside and I said, do you know where you are? And you said, yeah, I'm at the Borghese Gallery when you meant to say Borghese.
Yeah, and I remember when I walked up all the stairs and I got to the top and I talked to Rosemary and told her where I was. And,
well, that's what made me laugh
Sally,
because you were like, hi, Sally, and hi, everybody, right? And then I slowed down the audio track later. I go, hello, Sally. Hi, babe. It was the funniest moment to watch. I still have it. I might have to resurrect that and put it at the end of this video just for the fun of it.
It's priceless.
It was priceless. Yeah. It was nice for us to go to Italy that time, me, you, and Mary Ellen, my sister.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good time. We ate well. We saw a lot of great things.
Yeah.
We really did. So tell me, 1930s. I have no reference for the 30s other than what I've studied and what I've seen in books. So give me an indication of what the heck were the 30s like? I mean, what was life like growing up in your home when you were just a young person and with all your sisters? Tell me about your siblings as well.
Well, I had 5 sisters and 1 brother.
Okay.
My brother was number 6, and then Alma was number 7.
So Alma was the youngest daughter.
Yeah.
And you and Barbara?
Pauline, my mother lost a baby. Pauline, she was 2 years old. And then there was Ruth, Marie, Barbara, and I, Bud, my brother, and Elma.
And Alma. And who's with us still?
Elma and I.
And your twin?
Barbara.
Barbara. Yeah, Barbara's still here too.
Barbara, yeah.
Yeah. You seem to be the one that's been the healthiest.
Yeah.
Out of everybody from your side of the family. It's not like you haven't had your moments.
No.
But you've overcome pretty much everything you've ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it was exercise and people that I
hung out with
was around, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny you say that because, we learned that message here at home. You can't fly with the eagles when you hang with the turkeys.
Yeah.
Right? So we were always told who you hang out with pretty much defines
who you are.
Who you are and where you're going.
Who you become. Yeah.
Well, now I know.
Yeah.
You lived it. You better. I think of my father saying things like, we used to hook school and drink beer down in the Boston Common. I'm like, what? I got punished for that. What is that all about?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that works. So in the 30s, though, you got a depression that comes on. Do you even remember the 30s?
No, I remember being little. Always remember Christmases.
Yeah.
When we had...
What was that like?
Oh, that was awesome. Because we didn't have the tree up until Christmas Eve. And we had our stockings hung by the black stove with... and we wore long cotton stockings.
Yeah.
And each time you put a fruit in, it would go down further and further. So Mother had to keep filling them up. But that's all we had. We didn't have a lot. So we had fruit. A banana was a treat.
Right.
And an apple and a pear. Wow, we just thought this was
the greatest thing.
And then we had a few candies. But we didn't have what they have today.
Well, we have apples now, but they're iPads and phones.
Yeah. I didn't have any of that. So
you never had much growing up?
No.
But did you enjoy your childhood?
Oh, absolutely, because we didn't know any better. And as my mother, we always thought we were rich or healthy, or we were healthy, happy, but we had to work in the greenhouses all the time.
Yeah, your dad was a florist.
Yes, my dad was a florist, and we were growers.
Yeah.
And Mother worked down there, and all of us. So when the kids were out playing, we were down working.
Yeah. But that was a way of life for you.
Yeah, and it was the best thing for us, too, because it taught us discipline and right from wrong. And
yeah. I thought you were going to say that discipline was coming to the tip of my tongue as well. I'm like, you know what? I learned the same thing. If you don't work hard at it, then it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So when you're young and you're in that house, I mean, who did you sleep with? Who was in your bedroom?
Oh, my goodness. They were Ruth, Marie, Barbara, and I. And I think as I remember, Ruth, Marie, and Barbara and I, and I don't know where Bud slept, but then eventually we went up into the attic, like this room down here, which your cave.
I remember the attic upstairs in the old house.
Yeah. I
didn't know that's where you guys slept. I was thinking about that today. I'm like, I wonder where they slept. I mean, who slept with who?
Yeah. I was up in the attic by myself in a big bed, and Bud was down the other end of the attic in a bed. Yeah. And
so when you were young and you're growing up in this house, I guess you can say it now. Most of them are all gone. Who was your favorite? Which one of your siblings did you have the closest connection with? Assuming you had them with all, but
I had them with all, but I have to say Alma. Alma and I were very close.
Was she like a younger sister that you brought along, or did you feel as though you were equals to everything?
I just felt it was equals, but I think Alma looked toward me as, I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah, well, maybe you were her favorite as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because spent that time together.
Years, we spent years together.
So we just passed Christmas here, Like, what was Christmas Eve like in your home when you were 10 years old?
Oh, awesome. Exciting. And I remember putting up the lights and putting up the tree, and the tree wasn't right, so Daddy had to go out and get another one. So he got 2 trees together, and he hammered them together, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was your father good to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I remember walking into every home you go into, it has a smell. You just, you walk in here, this was your house once.
Yeah.
And you walk in here and there's a smell. And it's pretty much the same smell as it always was. And I can only imagine, I can still remember walking into that house with the, like the big carpets and walking up the back stairway into your mom's apartment now that your sister was living downstairs when we were growing up. Right. And that smell and the sound of the creaking boards and, in the kitchen. I just remember that so vividly. I was like, whoa, man. The pantry. Remember the little pantry there?
Yeah.
And I remember one time.
Yeah, I love the pantry. Yeah.
Your dad, Papa for me, he looked at me. I was in the kitchen. It's the only memory I have of him. And he looked at me and he goes, "Who is this?" And I was like 4 years old, and he looked at me and he goes, "Who are you, young fella? What are you doing here?" And I was like, I didn't know what to say. I'm like, well, don't I belong here? Am I in the wrong place? And I remember for a while I was like, he doesn't know me. And you were like, no, he's just messing with you. Papa loves you. And I was like, I remember him sitting in the back room smoking his cigars. Yeah. And he wanted his alone time. Yeah. We got there. Okay, everybody out. Yeah. But when I was really young, I would go back there with you and visit Nana, and we would go outside, and then we had the playground out front. Yeah. And you and I used to hang out in the playground right across the street on Columbus Ave. Yeah. Those were good days for me. But I'm thinking back to you, just a short generation before that was like, wow. I remember when your niece, the oldest, Paula, got married. Yeah. And we came back to that house after we went to Boston. She where did she go to?
She was in Cambridge.
She was at MIT, right?
Yeah. I don't know, one of those.
I think it was MIT.
Yeah.
And
a boathouse out on the water.
Yeah, that was the Northwestern Boathouse. Yeah. Not Harvard. The
Near
Northwestern
Harvard.
Boat. Yeah.
Okay.
On the Charles River. Yeah. And then they had a guy playing the violin, and that's when we really lit it up. Yeah, people don't know this, but when we were at weddings and stuff, everybody there was us. We must have had 70 of us that were just all from the same family to 100 of us, let alone the extended spouses. Right. Then you've got friends and others, and you've got yourself a couple hundred people ready to sing and dance. And and in your generation, that's what it was all about.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Everybody in the family, and my mother's sisters, they were all fun. Yeah. All loving, and we got together and we sing.
Do you feel like we've lost some of that connection that neighborhoods once had?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Kind of gone. That night after we were at the wedding, and then the wedding itself, the reception was over, and it was like we're all going back to Nana's house. Right. I mean, that was one of the biggest moments we ever had as kids. Yeah. So there was a keg of beer out on the porch, and then the music began, and the guitars, and the singing. And then the harmonicas, and then we were down the street. Do you remember? Yeah. We were doing that big procession down the street. The music was playing, and the neighbors came out and joined in the conga line.
Yeah,
it was like,
conga line. Yeah, right. Yeah.
You don't see that anymore.
Yeah. No, kids today don't know how to have fun.
No, and they were taught not.
Grown-ups don't know how to have fun.
You're right.
And when the kids today, they don't know how to romance, they don't know how to dance and stay close together, and we had all of that.
I know. I'm going to show some. I'm going to put this on YouTube as well, and I'm going to show some photographs of you in your heyday with your long legs and your dresses and things with Papa, and the weddings. I'll throw those in there somewhere. I'll find a spot for them. Yeah. People can see more what you were like when you were young, because they're going to see you now. Yeah. And they're going to say, I wonder what she was like when she was young. And, if my father were here, he'd say she was a dish. So you get through the 30s. Now we're into the 40s, and you're a teenager, and you're at school. What high school did you go to?
St. John's High School in Cambridge, North Cambridge.
North Cambridge. You play sports?
Yes, I played basketball and baseball.
So what you're trying to tell me is that all my accolades come from you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? Take full credit.
Yeah. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
No, I guess not. So you're going high school.
Yeah.
And it's Friday night, and you're in high school. What do you do? What's the social night look like when you're a high school kid? Did you have to go home and be in the house, or did mom and dad let you go out and socialize and go to dances or anything?
No, we just didn't do those things.
What was the deal?
We had Friday night dances at the high school. I think I don't quite remember.
Did you get to go?
Yeah, sometimes.
I'm digging because I didn't get to go to anything until I was 17.
Well, sometimes.
Yeah.
Not all the time.
Yeah. If they thought it was appropriate, they let you go.
Yeah.
And so what was it like going to a high school dance back in the 40s?
Awesome. Because we danced.
Yeah. What was it like, though? The boys dancing with the girls?
The girls, yeah.
Not like a bunch of girls dancing together in today's modern high school?
No. And then we jitterbugged. We did everything. It was awesome.
So were you a good dancer?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll have to say I was. Yeah. And I taught Daddy how to dance, and so we won a waltz contest at one time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What do you know? I had no idea you won a contest.
I used to go into Boston on a date on Saturday nights, and we'd go to the, there was a hotel in Boston, the Bradford Roof.
Okay.
We used to dance out in the air, out in the roof on Saturday nights.
Wow.
Oh, I had wonderful times.
What would you wear? A long dress? Something that was...
Oh, long, sometimes short, but
below
the knee.
Yeah. And what did he look like? What did the men look like?
He would have on a suit jacket or and a shirt and a tie and a pants.
So they looked good.
Yeah, he looked good.
Yeah. There was always an air of...
Oh, we always looked good going out.
Yeah, I was going to say there's always an air of class in the British generation.
Yeah.
That's something that I miss. Growing up, I'm 56. I'm the youngest of the entire family here, but when I see the pictures, and it reminds me of what it was like to be on the cusp of when you were a kid, even though I wasn't. I mean, I'm a little guy thinking, what was my mother's and my father's life like just 20, 30 years before me?
Right.
And I'm attracted to that era. Yeah. The 30s, the 40s, not so much the 50s, but the 40s were just, I wasn't there, but my interpretation, it was a magical time of all kinds of things going on. Obviously, the war was happening, World War II. Right. And did that affect your family?
No.
No.
Cousins.
Did your brother serve?
Yes, he was in the Marines.
And so he...
But I think the war was over when he went into the Marines.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he was just a little bit later.
Yeah.
And he died of lung disease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 37, he was young.
Right.
Yeah.
He had lung cancer.
Yeah.
But you and I had discovered that he had worked in the mills.
Yeah.
And was likely dead from mesothelioma from the asbestos more than anything else. He never smoked enough to kill himself at 37.
No.
That was just... Probably wasn't it. Not that it matters, but when you look back and you kind of break it down, you go, wow, we lost him to probably something that he wouldn't have died of today.
Right, yeah.
And I think as I'm in the world of healthcare, there's a distinct difference, though, between when you were a kid growing up in healthcare, when polio was around and all these sicknesses, cholera and diphtheria, they were wiping people out, but we don't have to worry about that stuff today.
No.
I say that we're much more fortunate, but of course we've got this other thing we're dealing with that I don't really want to go into. But that the virus is here and blah 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 blah. We'll figure this one out too, right?
Right.
We'll figure something out. We'll get where we need to be at some point. But so you're going through your 40s, through the 40s, you're dancing, you're outside, you're classy, you're dressed up. The men were gentlemen, I assume.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No funny stuff.
So how old were you when you met my father, Cosmo?
I met him when I started babysitting, so probably 14 or 15. I just used to walk, and he would stand out on a corner with his friends, And they had the zoots. Oh, they were like zoot suits.
Oh, the zoot suits?
Yeah, the pants rolled up, the white socks, and the black shoes, and the pork pie hat, and the jacket. Yeah. And I used to
Hot to trot.
Oh, and I hated to go buy them, but I had to go buy them every time I went to babysit.
Yeah. And
they say, "Oh, here comes Betty Norberg, and she's going to go babysit." That's how I met him. And I think back now as I go through my life, and I say, I met him, and there was my husband standing right there on that corner.
Right.
You know, just being crazy, just going back,
just
thinking about
yeah,
how it all happened. But he was wonderful.
He was handsome.
Oh, he was.
Thank God.
Yeah.
We got a little something of that. I'm a little broken down now. The body's falling apart,
he was a handsome man, and what drew me to him was his compassion.
Yeah.
He loved his mother, although they had hard times together.
Yeah.
But we'd date, and he'd just leave me and say, I got to go home for a minute, because Ma and Pa would have words, and Pa would walk out, and he went always back to make sure she was all right.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that was very attractive to me.
Yeah.
He was
I think a lot of women have said that over time, that when their men treat the women in their life really well, that it says something about how they're going to treat them as well.
Right, right, yeah.
So he definitely had that, and I've actually discussed that on the podcast, and that's something that I feel that all the time that I spent with him, he taught me how to be compassionate, to take care of people.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to say drop everything at a dime, but it seems like we do, and we've been doing it ever since.
Yeah.
Somebody needs you, there's no questions asked, let's just go do it.
Absolutely. Nana was like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of trickles down over the generations.
Yeah. And we learned from Nana.
Yeah. You know, he was a twin, identical twin.
Identical twin, yeah.
And you're a twin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And my father-in-law, Manny, he was a twin.
Wow.
And Lisa and I had no twins.
No.
Thank goodness.
No, I had 8 single births.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the hell were you thinking?
I was a good Catholic.
I guess you were. Didn't have a TV, huh?
No.
Yeah, you had all those kids. And then, you know, like when you met Papa, my dad here, that was, 1950-ish? Or you started dating? Because you got married in what year?
In 1953.
1953. How long did you date before you got married?
A year, maybe a little over a year, because he went in the service and overseas. He was drafted.
Right. Where did he go?
And he went to Japan. He was on his way to Korea, but ended up in Japan.
Okay. With his brother?
With his brother and his brother-in-law, Paul, which had the same name.
Same last name.
Yeah. Same last name.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were cousins.
And what was the significance of that?
And he married his sister.
He married my father's sister.
Lulu. Yeah. And so she never changed her name.
She never had to change her name.
No.
She, you know, her brother, her 2 brothers bring home a guy.
Yeah.
And he says, I got a guy I want you to meet. Good old pal in the Army, as we would say, from the old White Christmas movie.
Yeah,
Just say we're doing it for a pal in the Army.
Yeah.
What's your name? Paul Prococo. My name's Louise Prococo. They fall in love, they get married.
Right.
She doesn't have to change her name.
Right.
An interesting little story right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 53, you get married. And what's the plan? What are you guys thinking? I mean, babies came, but was that the plan?
No, we just didn't think about that.
Yeah.
It happened.
Yeah. So you really didn't have to. You got married because you loved and enjoyed each other, and then we'll build a life, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Right.
And we were always on the same wavelength. We didn't have. I can say, you know, they say, well, you argue, you this or that, but we didn't have much of that.
You know, today we have a lot of people that are depressed and anxious. Did you notice the same amount of people experiencing that back in the 40s and 50s?
No.
You think it's different today than it was then?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I had a much easier life. You know, they'll say to me, how did you raise 8 kids? Well, I didn't have the stress that you kids have today.
Right.
I didn't have television. Well, we did have television, but we didn't watch
you barely
television.
Ever watched it, yeah.
No.
There wasn't anything on anyway.
No.
They didn't have big TV yet.
No. The only thing I watched was a ball game.
Right.
But the stress on the kids today, raising kids, I mean, we didn't even have car seats.
Right.
So I didn't have all of that. You know,
Right.
put the kid in the car seat, take the kid out, go shopping, all that. That's stress.
Well, that and things like social media,
Right.
then the news, which has now become a 24/7 thing.
Right.
And so what it's done to us is it's built to shock the shit out of us, and it's working.
Yeah.
So the news used to be on at 6 p.m. at night. I remember coming home. I would sit in the basement here.
Yeah.
You would give me a sleeve of saltines and some peanut butter and say, now sit down and I'll call you when dinner's ready. I'd watch a little of the Three Stooges, and then that TV might be on catching that half an hour of news, and that was it.
Yeah.
There was no more.
No, there wasn't.
Catch up quick,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And today, you know, a la Ted Turner, we decided to make news 24/7.
Yeah.
So now that it's 24/7 and the news is the most putrid, disgusting thing on the planet, everybody's stressed out and upset over it.
Right.
When you could literally get your news in 4 minutes. Just look at the headline, and every headline is negative. It's angry.
Right.
It's full of hate.
Yeah.
It's full of pain and dysfunction. And now we have more depression, anxiety, medication, suicide, overdose. You didn't have any of that, did you?
No.
And that's why they call you the
No.
greatest generation of all
We
time.
sang a lot.
Yeah.
We had aunts that were wonderful and funny.
Yeah.
I mean, just we had a good positive growing up, I would say.
In being in the house was good.
In Nana's house, everybody came to Nana's house.
Yeah.
And all the laughter. Auntie Ethel was a screech. I loved her.
This was your mother's sister.
Mother, sister.
How,
And Auntie
many,
Kate,
how big was your mother's family?
I think there was 9.
9. How many boys and girls?
And, oh, goodness, I don't know. Uncle Eddie and Uncle
How many
Uncle
boys? 'Cause you
Tom.
probably
That's what I'm
wouldn't
saying.
know. Yeah.
Uncle Eddie, Uncle Tom, and Leon.
Leon. I don't even know of Leon.
Yeah,
So who was the oldest of your mother's siblings?
Aunt Alice. Aunt Alice from Maynard.
How much older was she than your mom?
Oh, I couldn't.
5
say.
years, 10 years? Because what I know about your mother is she was born in 1902.
Yeah.
Right? So if we go back and we look and see, what were your other aunts and uncles born? They were probably born in the 1800s.
Yeah, now that you're talking about it, yeah.
Right? 1800s.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
I don't even think that way. Yeah.
You know, the Titanic went down in April 15th, 1912. That leaves you alive 16 simple years after the Titanic sank. You were born.
Wow.
Dude, you are older than dirt.
Right.
And you go, holy crud. That's why people are like, they hear about you and they go, your mother's 92? I go, no, it's 92 and a half. Got to give her that extra half.
Yeah.
92 plus. It's like, how's she doing? Is she okay? I said, of course she's okay. She's is what it is. She ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
You could be here to 100 or more.
Yeah.
You know, we should start your own podcast, the Betty Jean podcast. We could say, hi, Sally. Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Rosemary.
Hi, Rosemary. All your friends, right?
Yeah.
It's all good one way or another, that's for sure. So,
Yeah.
So you get married, you got 8 kids. You've got 7 boys and 1 daughter.
Right.
How the hell do you keep that straight? You know, with your man out going to work every day to try to make ends meet? How do you keep it together?
Well, he was good. He was a wonderful father. Took care of you kids, came in from work, I can see it now, hanging his jacket on the doorknob, go in the bathroom, start running the water, and then, remember the bell? He'd ring the bell.
That's right.
And everybody would say, I'm coming. And the little ones that had to be bathed first were bathed, and then you older kids took care of yourselves. But he was, and then he'd bring them one out of the tub, bring them to the kitchen table. I'd powder them down and get them dressed, and then you would all go out into the living room and sit on the sofa, and then we'd turn on Mickey Mouse.
Ah, there you go.
Mickey Mouse and Tom Mix and all those until supper was ready.
Right.
And then he would, after supper, I never did dishes. He did dishes and got Tommy on a stool,
To
on a
wipe the
chair,
dishes, yeah.
and start wiping the dishes. But before that, he loved Hershey bars.
Yeah.
And so he'd run down the corner store and get his Hershey bars, come back, and then he'd be happy.
Yeah.
And then he'd do the dishes. And he was just so good to me.
Yeah.
that I think that's why it worked, because he was so good to me and I was good to him.
Yeah.
And we did everything together. And I didn't drive.
Didn't have to.
And you know, he was wonderful about that. He was never crabby, or he was always a happy person. I think that's...
You know, I communicate with a lot of people, especially in my practice, and I see nothing but dysfunction in marriages. I mean, every marriage has dysfunction.
Yeah.
That's just part of the human potential. But man, people don't know how to communicate, and they don't know how to do the extra things.
No.
You know, it's just like you said, you'd come home and he'd draw a bath and do the dishes. And then it reminds me of how I've crafted my own relationship the same way. I got up this morning, not to pat myself on the back, but to go along with your story.
Yeah.
Lisa got up, and she's got a lot of things going on in her life right now. So I took all the bedding and I washed it all, and I put it all back on, and I tightened it up, and I pulled down the sheets and the pillows ready to go. You clean and you do things as a team.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I think that's what I learned about living in this house with you and Dad, was that if you work as a team, you can't miss.
No.
There'll be days when it isn't good. But for the most part, you understand how to take care of each other. Yeah. And that's a message that I'm going to hit next month.
And that's what your children need to see.
Right. Because they don't listen anyway.
No. You do your own thing. But I said...
Right. Well, it's what they see you doing.
Yeah.
You know. And
when they saw my teeth, that was it.
Oh, yeah. Same with Dad. You see the bottom of his teeth come out. Then he reached for his belt. I was like, mother of goodness.
Don't go there.
Yeah, right. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
But when I look back at those times, and I'm like, we had a good upbringing, but we didn't realize that it was going to give us skills for the future.
Right.
And over time, I guess I'm in that middle generation. I came right after yours. I'm still a baby boomer. But if you don't look at the millennia and the Generation Z and the X people, they've lost this. It's getting watered down over time.
Yeah.
And it would be great to have it pulled back.
Right.
So I think it takes podcasts like this for somebody to hear your story and say, yeah, I mean, you used to do what? Yeah. What the heck can you do on a Friday night? Sit home, play board games, and laugh and be silly, and learn how to enjoy yourself without the trappings of today's world of modern technology. Right. And the thing is, we're all in it. I mean, anybody to see this room right now and go, look at this place. It's a full-blown studio. Yeah.
Yeah, you should have seen it years ago.
It was a poop stain long time ago.
Everybody had their turn down here.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the first thing you said. I can't believe we're here. This place used to be a shithole.
Yeah.
It was, but if you have a vision and you can work hard at it, you can create something out of it. Yeah. We've certainly learned how to do that. We learned it from home. And I hope that, my kids have been watching me, and for people listening at home, I hope they recognize that even if your life hasn't been good up to this point, you can just start now and keep going.
Right.
So what do you do? It's not what you say so much as what you do.
Right.
You come home, you take care of your spouse, you do everything you can to love her when she's hurting and when she's not responsive.
Right.
Do it anyway.
Right.
And pretty soon you get that in reverse. And then over a lifetime, you look back and go, 4 decades just passed.
Right.
What happened?
Yeah.
Life.
Yeah.
And how was it? It was good.
Yeah.
You get 8 kids. Not one of them have died.
No.
We're all still here.
Yeah.
We're all somehow all moving and pushing along.
Yeah.
You've got all these kids. How many grandkids you have?
19.
19 grandchildren.
And I think my 7th great-grandchild coming.
Right, huh?
Yeah.
If you hang in there long enough, you might have a great-great-grandchild. You just never know.
I don't think so there. But the most important thing is discipline.
Yeah.
When you say something, you don't renege on it, as you guys know that.
Yeah, follow through.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
And you have to be responsible to what you say and do.
Yeah.
You can't be pointing the finger to everybody else.
No. And when I say it once, I said it once. I'm not saying it twice.
I hope everybody's listening at home who's listened to all my podcasts go, no wonder where you get that stuff, Coco. That's right. You have to be responsible for your own actions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which means you have to be responsible for the way you think.
Yeah. And
the way you think has been conditioned by the world that you come from. And fortunately, I had it perfect. If you can get it perfect, I had it that way. And I can't speak for anybody else, just me. It worked for me.
Yeah.
And then I found a woman who thinks the same way.
Right. Yeah.
And then we work hard together.
Right.
It's funny. We're better when we're under the gun.
Absolutely.
Not that we're not good, but we're not as good when everything's perfect.
Yeah.
We're way better when you got to dig your heels in the sand.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then you realize that life life can hand you a lot of uncomfortable situations.
Yeah,
And it's pretty nice to know somebody's there to help you through it, even if they don't like you right now. I got this strange thing that happens to me, and I have a feeling it comes from Dad. When I'm upset with Lisa over something, I immediately start doing things for her that are nice.
Yeah.
Not because I want to. It's like a battle between good and evil. I'm like, I hate that bitch. And then I go do something nice for her.
Yeah.
And I'm still doing nice things for her. And you know what? She does the same thing for me.
Yeah.
I'll come home, she's upset, we're upset, and then there's a whoopie pie on the countertop or something. I'm like, I bought that for you. I'm like, how can I stay mad?
It's just that little love.
It is. It's that little thing, because life gets in the way, does it not?
I remember Daddy, when we lived in Arlington, we had Tommy and Vinny. But Tommy at the time, but he'd get off. We didn't have 5 cents.
Right.
When he'd get off he'd come from Boston, the trolley all the way home.
Yep.
And there was a little train station close where we lived, and he'd go in there and he'd come home, and he had Butterfingers, those little Butterfingers.
Yeah, I remember those candies.
I bought you something, and there was only a penny.
Yeah.
But it just was, that thinking of me, and here she is home all by herself, blah, 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 you know.
And then you know that you're being cared for.
Absolutely.
Whether it's something expensive or inexpensive to matter.
Yeah, it was like a diamond ring.
Yeah. Every time Dad would come home, and he'd come through the front doors, and we'd be after him for the Wrigley's gum.
Yeah, I remember
got some
that.
gum?
Yeah.
Dad, you got some gum?
Yeah.
He'd be like, yeah, I got gum.
Yeah,
Give me a minute. And he'd come upstairs. He'd pull out the gum.
Yeah.
And then he'd have those little chocolates with the little nonpareils on them.
Oh, yeah.
We'd sit in the back room now, which is now Lisa in my bedroom, and we'd sit there and we'd watch the Bruins games on that little 13-inch black and white TV. I'd snuggle up under his arm, and then he would give us these little chocolates that came out of a little white box with a brown interior, a little cellophane. I can remember like it was yesterday. I can still smell them.
Yeah.
And that's what made him happy.
Yeah.
And he was happy that we would share it with him. And then he'd be like, shh, don't tell your mother.
Yeah.
Then you come in, where did you get those?
But that's what's missing today.
Yeah.
That's what's missing.
It doesn't need to be either.
No. It's sad, really, yeah.
I think we'd all benefit more by being less on this social world.
Right.
I mean, social worlds have a place, but if we put all our eggs in that basket, we're likely to get trampled by it, because it doesn't have our best interests in mind.
No.
It's looking for our money, basically.
That absolutely.
Yeah, it's looking for our money. Any way they can find it, they'll do it. And they'll use psychology to get it.
Right.
They'll make you feel less than you need to be. And unfortunately, what I've learned myself, after you taught me a bunch and I've taken it to the next level, that people, unfortunately, they're being lied to consistently, and it's changing the way they see the world around them.
Yeah. And
they try to make themselves more than they truly are, or something they're truly not. And they never really get in touch with who they are as a person.
No.
So they might spend decades searching, and when they find themselves, they might be so late that they're like,
they missed.
I missed it all. I got 5 years left. I didn't understand what the deal was. I was angry most of my life.
Yeah.
Why was I angry? Because I chose anger over love. It's like, because love is too difficult.
Yeah.
Hate is easy.
That's right.
It's very easy because it's being pumped at us all the time, right?
Yeah.
It's on the media all the time.
Right.
So we see nothing but it. Today I went on to a social media outlet for a couple seconds just to see what hell was on there before we came to this talk.
Yeah.
It was more crap than I could ever imagine. And I'm like, every part of that, if your mother were alive today, she'd have slapped the crap out of us and said, get that out of this house.
Right.
That's a poison.
Yeah.
It is a poison.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. Yeah. The thing is, though, I think we could balance off all those. I mean, I've taught you just recently how to use the YouTube app on your
I know.
TV, right?
TV, yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah. Well, I can do it, but I don't really want to get involved. I never did.
Yeah.
I'm not a phone person to begin with.
Yeah.
I'm on, would you say I'm on Facebook?
I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, I don't text. I don't put anything on Facebook.
Yeah, well, you're on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what happened? You just became like every other person who says, I'm not on Facebook. I don't do much on there, but I go on there each day and I check out and see what people are doing. Now, there's nothing wrong with that.
But I don't do that every day.
No. Well, you don't really have to. You have other interests. And
I'm too busy doing that.
Yeah, your brain was well beyond all of this when it started to flourish.
Yeah.
So I go, okay, so it's not going to be that big a deal for you. It's not that big a deal for me either, except for one thing. It's that part of my passion is to help people. I want people to have, I want them to know themselves, number one, to be okay with who they are. And then in that's where you find your peace anyway. It's just like, I don't mind being me.
No.
I'm okay being me.
Yeah, I'm happy with myself. I think that's why I'm happy, because I'm content with who I am.
Yeah, but you're almost 93.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said for that, isn't there?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, if you don't like yourself and you don't like the situation around you, it's going to be pretty difficult, and then it's going to beat your body up. And these are other podcasts that I've shared, but you've already lived it for all these years.
Right. I don't surround myself with negative people.
Yeah.
I stay away from it.
It would just beat you down over and over.
Absolutely.
And you'd be off to the clinic to get yourself some medication for the way you feel.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to do that.
No,
it's great that we have it, but I don't want it to be me if I don't have to do that.
No.
I can control my own things.
And it's your choice.
It is my choice, yeah. And that's really the key to it all. It's your choices that you make that you must be, you have to be responsible to those choices.
Right.
If you make bad choices, what do you get? You get bad results.
Yeah.
But great results are the result of bad results.
Right.
You got to screw it up once in a while, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, didn't you notice as a parent, when your kids would go out and do things and you knew that they were going to get hammered doing it, whether it's playing sports or doing something weird, you almost want to tell them, don't do it.
Yeah.
Then they do it and they break an arm or they chip a tooth and you're like, I mean, it was terrible, but that's the way it goes.
That's the way it goes.
Then you got to learn from it.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to learn from it.
You got to learn from it.
I hope you learn from it. Yeah.
Too many parents today are trying to make a perfect life for their kids.
They don't let their kids be kids.
Yeah. And literally, they got to go through their own process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of getting a little beat up by life.
Yeah.
The tougher you get, the more joy you get to experience because you realize how important life is and how fast it can be taken from you.
Yeah.
Especially when something happens to you that you didn't see coming and you're like, I need to rethink my stuff here.
Yeah.
Because life could be over tomorrow.
Right.
And if it is, what the hell was this all about in the first place?
Right.
It kind of leaves you going, huh? And, everybody gets there at different stages. When you were 20, I assume that you were just enjoying everything.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're 90 going, what the heck was it all about?
Yeah.
Whatever your thoughts are, they're your thoughts.
Yeah. But as I'm 90, I'm home and I reflect a lot. And I think of the wonderful times that I had with Daddy and the fun.
Yeah.
The fun I had. The fun we had together and the fun we had dancing and doing things together,
Yeah. Well, that's who you were.
Yeah.
You still are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really need to change, right?
No.
The environment can change, but you can still be the dancer in the environment,
right? Yeah, I still have the memories. I remember my mother was a wonderful dancer and my father.
Yeah.
And they waltzed.
Yeah.
And my mother would sit there and she's, Betty, I dream I'm in this beautiful dress and I'm dancing and, she's having a wonderful time with herself. And I think I got that from my mother.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And it's the same for the rest of us.
Yeah.
And we as a family, each one of us has to decide what we want to take from our youth.
Yes.
If you want to take the ugly parts, then it'll probably...
Yeah, and they were there too. There's no getting away from that.
There's no doubt about it, right?
Yeah.
It just depends on...
But you have to learn how to handle it and how to...
Yeah. And somehow be good with it.
Yeah.
Because people make mistakes and sometimes it hurts us.
Yeah.
And then we have to learn to get past that mistake and try to move on.
Yeah.
And if the desire is there, then things can change.
Right.
It doesn't mean that, we got to go around and change the entire world.
No.
I still think the most important thing is that we need to be good with being us.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm okay being me.
Yeah.
If I'm overweight,
same here.
I don't care.
Yeah.
If I got my face is wrinkly and I've got marks all over my face, so be it.
Yeah.
I kind of think of it this way. Each one of our wrinkles is another decade of experience.
Boy, I got a lot of them.
You've got a bunch of them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And, it's not a thing you can apologize for.
No.
It's just a life.
Yeah.
I was listening to...
I call them laugh wrinkles.
Laugh wrinkles, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that when you see somebody who has, an upside down frown, so to speak, for so many years, they look just angry constantly.
Yeah.
Because the muscles that would normally become active to hold the face in the upright position are in the down position. So if you look at them, you can see that their disposition for their whole life was very painful and negative just by looking at the facial creases on their face.
Wow.
And if you have more of this, uptick to the face, so to speak, it's like you can see it. You can just look at somebody and say, I can look at your face and say, she's had a good life. How the hell do you know that?
Yeah.
Because she taught me how to see people that way to begin with.
Yeah.
And then I can look at your face and I could say, I can look at your posture and your face. I can see and feel things that maybe my friends can't. Just saying.
Yeah.
And they have their own things too.
Yeah, right.
But, when you start your life being connected at the level that you described, where we were together as family, we spent time together, we enjoyed each other, we did the simple things. We didn't go out and dance the jitterbug like you did, but we sat upstairs and we played board games all afternoon when it rained.
Right.
And then when it was nice out, we were down the river playing hockey, and you would come down and watch us.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a young adolescent, maybe 12 years old, you and I went to Braintree. Do you remember?
Oh, yes, yeah.
I was like a athletic contest or something. I was in a Frisbee contest.
Yeah.
And you're like, come on, let's go. And I was so nervous. You remember that?
Yeah.
I was so nervous. And I'm like, oh, you're like, oh, come on, just do it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happens. Just compete.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. So I did. I didn't compete well enough to beat the kids that were older, but we went.
Yeah.
And now it's emblazoned in there. So it's just a memory.
It's a memory.
It's a memory. Yeah. I was thinking the other day, when you go back and you've lived 92 years, you've forgotten so much of your life that to have a video presentation of your life in any moment would blow your socks away.
Yeah.
We all think that we remember our childhood. No, we don't.
No.
We remember small bits and pieces of it.
Right.
But I'm going to give you an example. So I'm going to bring you back to 1938 in Arlington, Christmas Eve. I bet you can't tell me about it.
Well, Arlington, I don't know where you're going with Arlington, because I never lived in Arlington.
Where did you grow up? Cambridge.
Cambridge,
not Arlington.
Yeah.
So in Cambridge. So you look back and you go, oh, I remember maybe one thing. We were all in our jammies and your father had come in, blah, 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 blah. But if you had to sit there for a moment and play a video of you talking to your sister about just before you went to bed whether Santa was coming or not, those things are gone.
Yeah, right.
And I know it's kind of weird, but they are gone.
But I do remember walking into the pantry, seeing the glass of milk there and the cookies.
Yeah.
I remember that as plain as day. I don't know how old I was. But
think of that. That's Santa's meal.
Yeah.
That's why it's so emotional. The things that we remember in our lives over time are those that were the most emotional moments, plus and minus, right?
Right.
But most of our lives aren't lived on highs and lows. They're lived somewhere in between.
Yeah.
So I watched a football game that I played in when I was in high school. I haven't seen this video since I played in it.
Yeah.
I don't remember a single thing of that day. I don't remember the plays. I don't remember who. I'm watching myself do something for the first time. I'm completely blank. It's like, then I started thinking, oh my gosh, there's so much to our lives that we've forgotten. And now, out of the new world is technology.
Oh, you can see it.
Which can record it for us, for the next generations to see. Unfortunately, what's being recorded, some of the junk that's out there, that's on, that's put out there is kind of ugh.
Yeah.
When I look at social media where we are today, people tend to put the most superficial things out there for the world to see, and it doesn't change anybody to make them feel more compassionate, more connected. It's just kind of...
Yeah. You say, why am I bothering?
Exactly.
Why do I even look?
Yeah. It drives you crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me. But hey, after 92 years, maybe you'll get 20 more.
I doubt it.
We'll be here 20 years from now. So I got my mother. She's 118. So listen, as we wrap up today, let me ask you this. What do you think is going to be, what can you leave, what message do you want to leave behind, not only to your family, but to the next generation who is up and coming, like your grandkids and their generation? What little tidbit can you tell them about what made you a success in life that they should either seek or continue to develop as they move on?
Well, my faith is very strong. Believing in God, you can't get through life without Him. All things are possible to those who believe.
Yeah.
And God is very much a part of my life. So, and I would just say to the kids, be good to one another. And compliment one another. Give them a compliment. Tell them they're good.
Right.
Because they don't hear that today. They're all in with all their makeup and all their dress and all their hair. All that stuff is so superficial.
Right.
They need to hear, I love you.
Oh.
They need to hear those words.
I agree.
Yeah.
Those little things, as I've said many times in my podcast, just say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just say it. When the world tells you
What's
not
wrong
to.
with saying, you look beautiful?
Well, the world has told these children they can't say it.
Yeah.
Because that's sexist.
Yeah, because they got to sell more products to make you beautiful.
And
they're all beautiful.
And there's a control thing going on where we can't say that you're beautiful.
Yeah.
Like it would be, I say it anyway because I don't care. I'm going to live in a world where I tell you you're beautiful. It doesn't matter to me.
Right. Yeah.
You know, many times I'm in my practice and I see somebody, they're losing weight. And I said, oh my God, you look fantastic. Your whole body is really changing. Good for you.
Yeah.
You know,
they need to hear that.
They do.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that could get me in trouble in this modern world.
Yeah, absolutely.
For speaking the truth and knowing that I said it in the spirit of wanting that person to know that someone notices them and how beautiful they are, no matter what it is. When I say their beauty, it didn't have to be physical.
No.
It could be emotional. It could be with their children. It could be anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is so wrong with just loving each other and then in practicing love consistently will be the antidote to the hate and the division that we're dealing with today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope to goodness that when you and I are gone, that some part of this conversation and who we are continues to resonate with my son Lorenzo and Angelina.
Yeah.
And they begin to be the new leaders that are expected to emerge into the world where their children will have hope again. Because America's in a tough place right now, but we've been through these times before and hopefully we'll get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say thank you very much for coming on.
It's my pleasure.
You just might be a once a month kind of gal. You never know. All right. Well, I want to say that I love you, and I want to say thank you very much for coming on
I
today.
love you too.
And if you guys are listening at home on Apple, I'd love to have a recommendation, if you wouldn't mind. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and rock and roll. So see you later.
See you later.
Bye.